I froze at the doorway when Mom shouted those words in front of everyone. Her tone sharp, her eyes full of pride for my brother and disgust for me. She actually said it out loud in my own living room. Before I tell you what happened next, make sure you subscribe because this story will make you question everything about family and loyalty. Hit like if you've ever been underestimated. This one's for you. It was supposed to be a casual Sunday visit, but Mom, Dad, and my brother Ethan showed up with a real estate agent. Yes, a real estate agent. I stood there in shock as Mom waved her hand around the condo like she was showing it off. "We'll list it this week," she said proudly. "Your brother's finally ready to move in." Ethan just smirked, his arm around his fiancée like he already owned the place. "You should start packing soon, Tiff," he said casually, like I was some tenant overstaying my welcome. My heart was pounding, but I forced a laugh. "You're kidding, right? This is my condo." Mom's face turned serious. "No, Tiffany, it's ours. We just let you live here because you needed time after losing your job. Ethan deserves this now. He's starting a family." I could feel my hands shaking. Not from fear, but disbelief. I worked 3 jobs to afford this place. Every single tile, every couch, every light fixture. I paid for it myself. But they were standing there, telling me it belonged to him. Ethan chuckled. "Come on, Tiff, don't make a scene. You know Mom helped with the down payment." That was the moment my blood boiled. Mom helped? She didn't even know which bank I used. I wanted to scream, but something in me said, "Wait." I took a slow breath, pretending to hold back tears. If that's how you want to play it, fine. Because what they didn't know, what none of them had the slightest clue about, was that I had every single receipt. Every signed paper, every dollar tracked and locked away in my personal drive. I watched them laugh and plan my condo's decor, pretending like I didn't exist. But in my mind, I was already picturing the look on their faces when I'd finally reveal the truth. They thought I was powerless. They thought I was broke. They thought I'd just walk away. Quietly, I didn't sleep that night. Every word Mom said kept echoing in my head. "This is your brother's house." I sat on the floor of my living room, staring at the paperwork folder I'd kept hidden for years. The one labeled proof of everything. By morning, my sadness had burned into quiet determination. If they wanted to play dirty, I'd make sure every lie came back to them in front of everyone. So when Mom texted me, "We'll be back tomorrow with the agent to finalize things," I simply replied, "Perfect. I'll be ready." They had no idea what kind of ready I meant. The next day I cleaned the condo spotless, not for them, but for the show. When the doorbell rang, Mom and Ethan came in like royalty, while Dad followed behind, avoiding eye contact. The real estate agent smiled politely, clipboard in hand. "Nice place," she said, walking around. "Of course it is," Mom interrupted proudly. "It's been in our family for years. My son will be moving in soon." I almost laughed out loud. The nerve. I stood quietly as Ethan opened my kitchen cabinets and said, "Tiff, don't worry. We'll repaint this ugly color." His fiancée giggled beside him. "Yeah, something more modern. That was my breaking point." "You know what?" I said, my voice calm, but sharp enough to slice through the room's fake smiles. "Before you start redecorating, maybe you should know who actually owns this place." Mom rolled her eyes. "Tiffany, stop being dramatic. We already went through this," I smiled. "You're right. Let's go through it again. Properly." I walked to my bedroom, pulled out my laptop, and opened the secure folder. Within seconds, the screen filled with scanned documents, the purchase agreement, bank statements, mortgage payments, and the title deed, all under my name. I turned the screen toward them. "See this signature? That's mine, not yours, not Ethan's. Every payment came from my account, and every cent came from my hard work." The room went silent. The real estate agent leaned closer, reading the name. Her eyes widened. "Wait, this condo is fully under Tiffany Ross, not anyone else." Mom's smile cracked. Ethan's face drained of color. You're lying," Mom stuttered. "You said you couldn't afford it." I looked her straight in the eye. "You told me I wasn't good enough to afford anything. So I stopped telling you my wins. The silence that followed was louder than her shouting ever could have been, and just when I thought the humiliation was enough, Ethan said something that changed everything. He muttered, "Doesn't matter." Then I pulled out the final statement from my loan officer, confirming that the entire property had been paid off last December. "Funny," I said. My eyes locked on Ethan. "If you covered my rent, why does every payment come from my personal checking account? Why are the loan and insurance in my name only?" Mom's lips tightened. Ethan's fiancé whispered, "Babe, maybe we should just leave." But Ethan wasn't done embarrassing himself. He stepped closer, trying to intimidate me. "You're lying. You used Dad's credit for that place. That's his name on the paperwork somewhere." I smiled and turned to Dad. "Want to clear this up, Dad?" He looked guilty. His voice barely came out. "Tiffany, I think you should let this go. It's not worth fighting over." That silence right there told me everything. He knew. I took a deep breath and said, "Oh, so you did try something." Mom snapped, "Watch your tone." But I didn't stop. "You had no idea I found the emails between you and the bank, did you? The ones where you tried to transfer the ownership behind my back, using a forged signature of mine." The color drained from Mom's face. Ethan's fake confidence vanished. The agent froze, eyes darting between us. "Wait, are you saying they tried to illegally change the ownership?" I nodded. "Exactly. And that's why I have digital backups of everything, including the email chain, timestamps, and confirmation from my lawyer that the transfer attempt failed." The room fell silent again, this time with a thick, cold tension. Mom tried to speak, but Ethan cut her off. "You're bluffing. If that was true, we'd have heard from someone by now." I smirked. "Oh, you will. Because tomorrow morning you're going to get a call from my lawyer, not the bank." Ethan's fiancé gasped. "Tiff, you're suing them?" I just stared at my mother, who was now gripping her purse like it was a lifeline. "You wanted my condo so bad, Mom? Fine. Let's see how much it cost you in court fees." But right before she stormed out, she turned back and said something that froze my heart. "You think you've won, Tiffany? You don't even know what your brother did behind your back." Finally sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "Fine. You remember when your loan got delayed last year? You thought it was the bank's fault?" "Yeah," I said slowly. "They told me my application was under review for months." He smirked, like he was proud of himself. "That was me. I used my connections at the bank to put a freeze on your account. You weren't supposed to get the final payment approved that fast." For a second, I couldn't even speak. "You sabotaged my loan?" He shrugged. "I just wanted the place. You were wasting it on yourself. You don't even have a family." My chest tightened, rage mixing with disbelief. "You tried to ruin me just to take my home?" He smirked again. "It's not personal, Tiff. You always made everything about you. I'm the one who should have had the good life, not you." I stared at him, my mind spinning. "So that's why my final payment got delayed. That's why the bank kept misplacing my paperwork. Ethan had been behind it all along." I took a deep breath and said, "You really think you're untouchable, don't you?" He leaned closer. "I know Mom and Dad will always take my side. You're just the leftover sister with a chip on her shoulder." That's when I realized he wasn't just jealous. He genuinely hated that I succeeded without him. But what he didn't know was that I wasn't alone in this anymore. I had allies, quiet ones. I grabbed my phone, opened a text, and typed a single line. "Play the recording now." Ethan frowned. "What recording?" I smiled faintly. "The one you're about to hear, seconds later." A voice came through the condo's Bluetooth speaker. A clear recording of Mom and Ethan talking 2 days ago. His own voice echoed in the room. "Once she signs it, I'll tell the bank it was a family transfer. She'll never know until it's done." Ethan's face went pale. You bugged Mom's house?" I tilted my head. "No, I just left my phone recording when I went to pick up my things last week." "You should have been more careful." The real estate agent's eyes widened. That's evidence of fraud." Ethan tried to grab my phone, but I stepped back. "Touch me, and I'll send this recording straight to the authorities." He froze, realizing he'd cornered himself completely, and then my phone buzzed again, a message from my lawyer. I read it and smiled. "Perfect timing," I said. He just confirmed the legal notice has been delivered. Ethan's voice cracked. Legal notice? I looked him dead in the eyes. You and Mom are officially being investigated for property fraud and attempted identity theft. Jenna gasped. Oh my God. Ethan turned white, his fake arrogance finally collapsing. But before I could even breathe in satisfaction, my lawyer's next message came through, and what I read nearly made my knees give out. Tiffany, you need to call me immediately. There's something much bigger going on with your family's finances. And that's when I realized this wasn't just about my condo anymore. My heart pounded as I called my lawyer. His voice was tense. Tiffany, your brother didn't just mess with your condo. There's been a bigger scheme. Your parents have been moving money under your name for over a year. What? I whispered, gripping my phone. He continued. They opened a shell account using your social security number. There are deposits linked to your condo's documents, and withdrawals tied to your brother's business. I couldn't believe it. So they tried to steal my identity and launder money through me. Yes, but the good news is, the evidence you gave me, the emails, recordings, and bank statements, it's enough to expose them completely. I hung up and turned to face Ethan, who was now pacing nervously. You didn't just try to steal my home, I said quietly. You used me to hide your dirty money. He froze. Tiff, listen. No, you listen. My voice shook, but I stood tall. For years you called me weak, useless, a failure. You told me I'd never make it, and now you'll be the one answering to the police. Right then, a knock came at the door. 2 officers stepped in, badges visible. Tiffany Ross? One asked. That's me. We received a report of property fraud. May we speak with Ethan Ross and Margaret Ross? Ethan's face turned ghostly white. Mom, who had just walked back in, froze mid-step. This is a misunderstanding, she cried, but it was too late. The officers led them both out while Ethan shouted, You'll regret this, Tiffany. I watched from the doorway, tears filling my eyes. Not from sadness, but relief. Because after years of being treated like nothing, I finally stood my ground. I looked around my condo and whispered, They called it his house. But the truth? It was always mine. And that day, I didn't just protect my home. I reclaimed my peace and my power.